CNN.com. Senate unanimously agrees to send Epstein bill to Trump's desk once it's received from the House. Oh boy, the Epstein files. The House passed it almost unanimously, only one person defective. The Senate unanimously passed it, and they're saying Donald Trump signed this bill. According to Courthouse News Service, Congress on Tuesday nearly unanimously passed legislation aimed at shining a spotlight on the federal government's investigation into Epstein. But the push to publish the so-called Epstein files is headed to President Donald Trump's desk without changes demanded by skeptical House Republican leadership. Both Democrats and Republicans have long urged Congress to pass legislation directing the Trump administration to publish a trove of documents on Epstein. Let me just put it this way. They've got a veto-proof majority. Trump's going to sign this. I don't know what the point of this is. Anybody who's been following this for a long time, a great example being Mike Cernovich, whose work actually got the Epstein files released, or I'm sorry, I should say got the Epstein story to this point where they would release the Epstein files, has said they've long destroyed any of the more important or pressing documents. So this seems like it's performative, largely a waste of time, and wait, there's more. Because while Donald Trump has come around and been like, okay, fine, release the files, which I think we're going to get nothing, we now can trust that our liberal friends are going to claim it's the bad move. So here's Brian Krasenstein on cue to say, my question about the release of the Epstein files. What stops Trump from classifying any material he doesn't want released and then Pam Bondi not releasing it? What stops Pam Bondi from claiming that anything with Trump's name on it would be a national security risk? Will other members of Congress, or both from both parties, get to see unredacted versions of whatever she redacts or classifies? You see, the funny thing is this guy's been screaming about Trump releasing the files. As soon as they say, okay, fine, we'll release the files, it's just not good enough. It's a fake story. The Epstein case is obviously real. I want the evidence. Everybody should. But I believe it was probably destroyed. And I think this is principally a distraction. And the reason Trump probably came around and said, okay, fine, release it, is because it's going to be a bunch of nothing. Big nothing burgers.
I mean, I agree. I think there's probably nothing in it, but I think it's good because at least the American people get to see whatever they release, right? And then
we've got anyone.io. We all know the importance of protecting our freedoms, and this extends to protecting our data online. We're getting spied on more than ever, and we all have a responsibility to protect ourselves. That's why you should check out anyone.io. Anyone is building the complete privacy solution. Check this out. Where nobody can track your activity at any level, your browsing history, your purchases, your private conversations. It's a decentralized network that is more secure than any VPN. Wow. Take a look at this thing. Seems pretty simple to use, mind you. This is the Anyone hardware device. It's a physical plug-and-play device that connects directly to your router and creates a private Wi-Fi network inside your home. Every device you connect to is protected. No monthly fees, no subscriptions, no nonsense. Why pay for various VPN apps on every device when one box does it all? The device also lets you join thousands of others around the world who supply their internet to the network and earn passive income every day. You can also use the Anyone browser on your mobile phone for complete freedom when using the internet on the go. This is the digital freedom we're all fighting for. Stay private, stay protected, stay free. Visit anyone.io today to get started and use promo code TIM to get 40% off for a limited time.
I think the question after this is accountability, right? Is there anything that's actually going to be forced from an accountability mechanism? And I think you saw the beginnings of that today with, I think it was Representative Green in the House who issued the censure resolution. And I think, if members of Congress are communicating with Jeffrey Epstein, there should be accountability for that. And I think the American people would want to see that.
Totally. I suspect that those who are crazed over the Jeffrey Epstein scandals will not be satisfied by anything that is found in these released files. I suspect Candace Owens still won't be satisfied with this unless people get the maximalist conspiracy theory around Jeffrey Epstein. If Israel, Mossad, and the CIA are not involved in a honeypot of 50 senators and 100 congressmen, then people will not be satisfied here. So I suspect that will continue to be the case here.
Let me try my conspiracy for a minute, if you just entertain this. Why are they releasing the files now like this? Don't you guys think it's weird that every Republican and Democrat, except for one, but almost all of them, agreed to release this? That seems strange. I don't buy it.
They'd only release a rigged one where all of the House, everybody in Congress supported it. This would have to be the scrubbed down version.
We have to go with the no matter what they do, it's always the wrong thing angle of the conspiracy. Everything they do is evidence of the conspiracy. So in this regard, the conspiracy theory is, or the evidence is, all of them agreeing to release it is too perfect. And if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Totally.
That says to me, they're all in on it and they're planning on releasing fake files. This proves it. Actually, I'll be completely real because it is a little conspiratorial. I actually don't completely disagree with that. The fact that Democrats and Republicans are all like, yeah, we're all on board with this, says politicking nonsense. They're not going to give us real information. The government is not going to release proof or details. It seems like if I had to make a bet, the DOJ, Democrats, Republicans, or otherwise, have going back years, long destroyed any of the more significant documents, and now they're gonna release stuff that makes Epstein look bad, but won't give you the names of any of his accomplices or associates or other intel assets.
I think the emails are like one of the most bizarre parts because it's like, first of all, you have like congressmen just like emailing them for like about recipes and stuff. Like it's the most bizarre stuff, and then also, people will like install 3 VPNs and like have like 20 different passwords to use like a burner Twitter. Meanwhile, Epstein is like just emailing like, hey, you want to go hang out with some kids later? Best, Jeff. And it's like out in the open. I'm like, this guy was so shameless with everything. That's what I was reading through the emails. That's what was the most shocking thing to me.
The interesting thing I find is not the actual release of the files, because I do think I agree with you, Elaad, that the people that believe that nefarious things are going on about the release are going to believe that this is not a complete list. They're going to say, well, there's only some parts that have been released. It's not the full list, and people are going to take it as confirmation bias the same way they did with the release of the JFK files. People that are like, oh, people found in the JFK files what they were looking for, regardless of whether it was there or not. And I think this is going to be, another situation like that. But Shane was talking last night about Epstein's contacts with other foreign entities and people that he's been involved with. I think that that's the more interesting part of it, because that kind of stuff speaks to the corruption that was involved, as opposed to the what is largely known, the stuff that he was in jail for trafficking already.
That was my point. The emails too is like that just alludes to the level of sloppiness that could explain why some of the timeline here is just like weird. It's like, yeah, you can attribute a lot of this to just carelessness, sloppiness, cockiness, a lot of these different things.
So, I mean, I think since there's consensus here that this is widely regarded as an attempt by Democrats and others to derail the Trump agenda, it really begs the question why Rhino Congressman Thomas Massie introduced this bill to the Congress in the first place for any other reason but to try to derail the Trump agenda. And I mean, Tim, that's your favorite congressman who introduced this bill.
Yeah, he's
Massie?
He's a good congressman.
Massie's great, and Ro Khanna, and
but this bill is a distraction from the Trump agenda.
This bill,
I give you a little bit for sure. I think the issue is that Democrats were the ones who initiated this, and Massie's like, okay, release them.
No. He introduced it. He co-sponsored the introduction with Ro Khanna.
Democrats decided that Donald Trump was implicated in Epstein and started putting up billboards of Trump and Epstein as friends. And this ignited the Trump-Epstein saga, even though this was happening under the Biden administration and the first Trump administration. It seemed largely that Democrats didn't have a play politically. I can't tell you what they're campaigning on as a party. And so then, of course, Massie's like, I'm going to introduce this bill. Ro Khanna said, I'm going to introduce a bill. And then we got to this point where it's like, I don't know if there's, I would say half a distraction, because I don't know what's going on anyway, to be completely honest. I don't know what Trump is currently working on, right? Giving H-1Bs and Chinese visas without explaining what he's doing for the American people. I respect the tariff fight. He might lose this one in the Supreme Court. The dividends, these are good. It's a good play. I'm a fan of this. This is Congress's board. Republicans clearly are like, yeah, Trump's not threatened by this, and we're over the story.
Sure, it was. So first, it was there's roughly a handful of Republicans who were pushing, who were allying with the Democrats to allow this to advance. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and
And Republicans didn't want it, and they were like, even Speaker Johnson.
And then when it became inevitable because of Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene and a couple of other Republicans, is why Trump had to tell all these other Republicans to flip. So what do you think about those handful of Republicans?
I would push back on the idea that it's inevitable when there's only a handful of Republicans, when they're dealing with a body that's 435 members. If it was something that was inevitable, it would have had popular support in the beginning.
It was inevitable because they just had a special election in Arizona, which gave them 218 votes, including Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. I don't know if it's also had Anna Paulina Luna, but it required those Republicans or they weren't going to be able to advance this. Do you have any? I know you used to work on the Hill a bit. What do you think about this inside politics? Am I crazy here about how Massie introduced this and, there was a handful of Republicans necessary to advance this legislation, essentially derailing in attempts to derail the Trump agenda, in my estimation. And I mean, that's why the president also has unendorsed Marjorie Taylor Greene, who he's calling her now, and an opponent to Thomas Massie.
Yeah, I mean, from if you want to talk procedure and stuff, which is totally boring. I mean, it was inevitable through the sense that once they had a discharge petition, and the numbers that they needed to get that out the door in the House, it was going to come to the floor and be debated, right? And it was going to have to be voted on. And if you're a Republican or a Democrat, and when Jeffrey Epstein died, that was a national news story. Every American was like, who is this guy? Who is he connected to? What are you talking about? He was trafficking young girls, and all of these wealthy billionaires and businessmen were going to his island. Who is this sicko dude, and why is he connected to all of these important people around the world, right? So from a trickle-down effect, I agree with Tim that yeah, the Biden administration had these files for the last 4 years. If Trump was complicit in any of this stuff in a really damning way, then they probably would have released this stuff on their own, right? To really damage him in our coalition. So I think, it's probably been scrubbed of meaningful things, but I think there was a period of time in which the American people were very fired up about this issue. So from a political standpoint, House, Senate politics, once the discharge petition numbers were there, it was going to come up. And I didn't.
How should we feel about those Republicans who are willing to ally with Democrats to advance this legislation that I think is trying to derail
to your point about it being derailing, if this actually does pass and it comes out and it puts it to bed, doesn't it actually allow the MAGA agenda to move forward?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it'll put it to bed. Again,
because of the things that we said.
No, people will not be satisfied with what is in here.
Well, also, yeah, the part of the legislation is Bondi can redact things if it's threatening a current investigation, et cetera, et cetera. So she's going to have to do that. There's going to be something in there. Obviously, it's going to be.
It specifies for national security.
Precisely, and that's going to just add fuel to the fire. It's going to give more oxygen to this. I mean, even it's very valid, but in a lot of ways, people are using it. They're weaponizing it, so it's going to become a sideshow.
But the people that are going to say that this is, like we said, the people that are going to say that this is not complete or any redactions mean, etc., they're going to say that anyways. That's like being worried about the Democrats are going to call you names or say that you're a racist because you talk about immigration. That's going to happen. There's no world where they don't use this as a political tool. So the best option, as far as I can see, is to put as much information out as possible and say, look, we've put it all out. And so now we need to move on. And if they're not going to move on, they're not going to move on whether or not this information goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a sideshow regardless.
I think nobody cares, to be honest. I think obviously the people watching this care because they're concerned about the goings on. But I'd be willing to bet that if we decided to change the thumbnail of the show and the title to actually let me do a quick search real quick. Today's title will be Cloudflare. If we, to be fair, I mean, that was a big story and we will talk about it. But I think this is actually much more interesting to people. To be completely honest, if we did USA versus Uruguay, that's how you pronounce Uruguay, by the way. Everyone says Uruguay, it's Uruguay. Then I think we'd get, or how about Warriors versus Magic? All of these have substantially more search volume. The reality is we are politicos. We care about politics. We care about these issues. But I think the average person is tuning out because the political space has largely become, you know what it is? It's fatigue. And the fatigue is not that people don't care about the goings on in the world so much, but that many people are basically saying, I've heard this 800 times already. I don't care. Give me something new. And they're going to release nothing because nothing ever happens. We get it. And we're going to be bored by it. So welcome to current politics right now in November.
It's really devolving into drama and BS. And Ryan, you'd know nothing about that, right?
No, of course not. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. No, I know all about that. But to Tim's point, I think the other thing that really causes fatigue is these things come out and then nothing happens. There's no accountability. You have Benghazi, you have Burisma, you have COVID, right? There's all of these events that we've demanded oversight for, and nothing occurs. I mean, you've got the Biden auto pen scandal going on right now,
Yeah.
right? And who's going to be held accountable for that? Is anyone, right? And what does that even look like? So I think that's
Oh, it looks like actually, I'm sorry, Cloudflare's trending traffic has declined, considering we're back on the internet. But Google anti-gravity is on the rise as a trend, and more people care about whatever that is.
And I will say-
I'm actually really curious. What is that?
And if you've never heard of the NBA, Warriors versus Magic sounds really whimsical and exciting. It's like, I want to watch that. That sounds
Warriors, man.
Versus
Sounds like
Magic.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's sick. Oh, it's what's basketball? What's going on? Like, what is this?
To
digress.
your point, Ryan, though, like, if that's the case, right? People don't actually like the large portion of the American population doesn't really care. I think that the administration should start focusing on doing whatever it can do to benefit the lives of the everyday American who is having problems paying their bills, who is having problems making ends meet, because that's what's going to matter in a year when people are going to the midterms.
I just wanted to get this in really quick for the record for the Republican Congress people who forced the vote on these Epstein files before the president asked all Republicans to vote for it. It was spearheaded by Thomas Massie, and then we have Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.